me start where Dr. Anil Kapoor left off about behavioral changes, actually. And I think he brought up a very, very important point that it's extremely difficult, if not almost impossible, to change behavior for adults. much more easier to do it for children. And therefore, I think the program that Nalini ji has, World has, the school awareness, I think it has to be a very, very important and critical part of this program. Having said that, I'm not talking from perspective of a doctor, but I'm talking from the perspective of a Rotarian. When I became director of Rotary International, we started this program which we called as Project Positive Health. This was basically to tackle the non-communicable diseases, and we wanted to keep this very, very simple. So we identified, as we all know, the three important causes is improper lifestyle. I think modern day stress, no exercise. Second was bad food and bad habits. Our Indian food, especially rich, as Dr. Kapoor said, that if you give white rice and all those things and with a lot of oil and this thing, you are setting them up to have those NCDs actually. So bad food and bad habits. And third was, of course, the problem of awareness. At one spectrum is lack of awareness, and at the other spectrum is apathy and ignoring the fact that you have these problems. Patients so many times come to us with a blood sugar reading of 400 and 450, and their first reaction is, no, there is something wrong with the laboratory. I cannot be having this much. Doctor, please prescribe me something. I will go to another laboratory. He will go to 5 laboratories before he or she will accept that, yes, he has this problem. So the awareness problem ranges from lack of awareness to apathy and ignoring the problems that we are having. So we wanted to keep it very, very simple, not from a medical point of view, but even a lay person to understand. So we focused on 3 things. One was know your numbers. And we kept it very, very simple. The numbers which we are talking about is just height, weight, blood pressure, and blood sugar. Height, weight would give you BMI, which would indicate obesity. Blood pressure would, of course, indicate hypertension, and blood sugar would indicate diabetes. And through Rotary, we have a network of about 4,500 clubs across the country and about 180,000 people. We realized that we could not probably be treating all those people whom we screen. So we said, let's start with this screening program, point them in the right direction that, okay, you have this hypertension, you have this diabetes, please go and see your doctor, please go and see your physician. And we didn't stop at that. We had a follow-up conversation with many of the people whom we screened, whether they did go. And I'm sure none of you will be surprised that actual percentage of conversion from people who were screened and were found out to have these problems to people who really went to the physician was quite not so much actually, probably less than 50%, maybe even 30 or 40% actually. Unfortunately, this program we started in the month of August or September 2019. And then, of course, we had a meeting with Nalini ji to make the school awareness as part of this whole program as a holistic integrated program. Unfortunately, COVID struck, school stopped, and so many other issues came up. So we're now getting back on track a little bit. One of the disadvantages of organization like Rotary is that leadership changes every year or every 2 years, and therefore I am no longer in that leadership position. I am trying my best to, unlike Dr. Kapoor or some other people who would be in that position for quite a couple of years, or they would have that thing. So we are definitely trying to leverage and see that this program. In fact, what we are also trying to add is one of the big problems, Dr. Kapoor and others will agree, is the fatty liver in young children actually. That is because of course, childhood obesity and all the other problems. So we are tying up with the Indian Hepatology Society also to have that integrated as part of the school awareness program. Nalini ji, you will be happy to know that we are trying to do that also with the Indian Society of Hepatology. So the point I was trying to make is that 2 keywords, we realized that we could not be doing everything alone. It was impossible for any organization to do things alone. So we tried to tie up with Nalini ji, we tied up with the Indian Medical Association, we tied up with a couple of other organizations to have this awareness and screening program across the country. And we identified 4 days. 29th September is World Heart Day, 14th November is World Diabetes Day, and then 23rd February we identified because it was Rotary's sort of an anniversary birthday, the day Rotary was born, and 7th April is World Health Day. So on those 4 days we identified screening of these people. We were able to do it only for 2 or 3 days, but in those 2 or 3 days, in that year, we were able to screen over 2 lakh people across the country. So I'm sure that once this program again starts picking up pace, I think we will probably be starting in Bangalore and Karnataka and then taking it forward across the country actually. And Dr. Devi Shetty very rightly talked about the impact of social media. So we came up with the catchy slogan. You just mentioned a slogan with the World Food Organization has. So our slogan was very, very simple. Our slogan was "Ek chamach kam, char kadam aage." Ek chamach kam is 1 spoon less of salt, oil, and sugar in your daily diet, which should cut down your intake of these by about 10 or 15%. And char kadam aage is everybody should be doing 30 minutes of exercise or walking every day actually. So this did catch up. Unfortunately, COVID struck and everything was diverted to COVID. Our Rotary justices also were diverted to COVID. But I think with things now coming back on track, I think things will definitely move forward. So one, we thought that we would be a catalyst, and second, very important thing, I think partnership. And therefore, let me thank Nalini ji for inviting Rotary here today. And I think it's a partnership of all the organizations who are present here today, and maybe you can rope in a few more to try to see that our country, and as very rightly everybody knows, Indians are genetically predisposed to having all these problems. What occurs in Western world at maybe 65, 70 occurs in our country at 40, 45, and 50 years actually. So I think we can be catalyst for change of the behaviors, especially in children. And second, the partnership is going to be a key word moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.